Hi, it's Cassie here. Hope you're well. Now, I'm going to start today by talking you through my thought process when I'm choosing a profitable niche to get started in. There's lots of different ways to do this, but I'm going to show you exactly what I do. The very first thing to do is to take a piece of paper, make yourself a coffee or have a glass of wine, take a piece of paper and think about things that you're really interested in. So rather than chasing after a niche that you think is just going to make you money, I would suggest that you start with a niche that, yes, it is going to make you money, but it's also something you're interested in. Because when you're starting out, you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy and putting a lot of work into, especially into your first websites. So I really think it's important that you do something that you find enjoyable. So let's go through the process. I've got a short list here of topics that I'm interested in, that I'm thinking about creating niche websites. I'll probably do a niche website for each of these, but they're very broad markets and I need to drill down. So I'm going to show you it's a two-step process. One is to evaluate which one. I've got a short list of 3 things that I'm looking at creating website in. So I'm going to show you the process that I go through personally to narrow that down, to decide which one I'm going to work on, and then how I actually do the research to pick what my niche will be and my target market, because that's so important. And if you get this right, your whole business will, you've got a fantastic foundation for your whole business. If you get it wrong, you can put a lot of time and work in and not be successful and find it very hard to get traffic or sell products once you've created your website. So let's get started. The 3 areas that I'm looking at are herbs. I'd like to do something around sort of the nutritional side of herbs. Detoxing, and I think that's, people want to detox before and after Christmas and through the holidays. And list building, that's something that I'm working on as part of my Women's Way to Wealth. So I'm looking at these 3 areas: herbs, detoxing and list building. So that's my short list of 3 things that I'm particularly interested in at the moment. So make your own list and pause the video now and as I say, make a coffee and have a think about what topics you're interested in. It could be fun things, it could be pets, it could be your hobbies, it could be something seasonal, it could be something to do with I've got a site to do with Christmas decorating, it could be to do with a different special type of cooking. Just let your imagination run wild, but think about all the things you like to do. Which sections of the paper do you read first? Do you go to the sports section? Do you like the fashion section? Do you like the gossipy sections of the celebrities? Think about what interests you and what you have fun with and what you enjoy, and then let me show you the process that I go through to evaluate and see whether I can find a profitable niche within a big market. So let's start with herbs. The first website we're going to look at is this one I've got here, dummies.com. Now hopefully you're familiar with Dummies, the Dummies guide to this, the Dummies guide to that. The Dummies team spend a huge amount of money and time doing the research into profitable niches. So if there's a Dummies book in your area, that's a really good sign. And what I'd do a checklist of the different sites and resources we're going to go through. And Dummies would be the first item on the checklist, and I'll do a checklist for you that I can load onto the site. So let's have a look. Shop for books and more. And I'm in the US, but it doesn't matter because this is going to be an international site anyway. So let's start with herbs and let's just see what comes up. I haven't done any previous research. I'm doing this completely live and completely cold. So I've no idea what's going to come up, but I want to make this really real and very transparent. So there's 16 results for herbs. So here we've got herb gardening for dummies. That looks quite good. Herbal remedies, that looks like another good one. Healthy aging, that's an interesting take on it. These must all have chapters on herbs or allotment gardening. Vitamins for dummies, that's interesting. Okay, so of the list of products that have come up, there's 2 that look quite interesting. So let's have a look at these. The first one is herb gardening for dummies. And they're selling this book for $20, which is, that's quite a lot for a book really compared to some of the pricing these days. And I always have a look first of all at the table of contents because this is going to give me some ideas. Now, a fantastic way to find a niche. I'm interested in herbs. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do or what sort of angle I'm going to take or the niche I'm going to find, but possibly one of the chapters from this book could be my niche website. So let's have a look. Herb basics, deciding how and what to grow, getting down to earth, handling herbs. That could be quite an interesting one. Part of 10s. 10 lists of herbs for different uses. Now that I'm quite interested in using herbs for nutritional purposes. Here we are, so we've got herbs, culinary concoctions. That sounds very medieval, doesn't it? Herbs for healing, herbs for beauty, herbs. So herbs for healing, I quite like that. So one thing that I would suggest you do is to start a swipe file, and I always start with a notepad swipe file. It'll probably end up being a Word document in the end. And I'm going to cut and paste some of my, so I like the sound of that, herbs for healing and soothing. So I'm going to just right click and copy that into my notepad. And this is going to be my swipe file. So as I get ideas, I would start a folder too. So go within your library if you're using a PC, and start a folder called niche research or herbs, whatever it might be. That's going to be your topic, and put everything in there. So as we go through this process of finding a profitable niche, we're going to find sales letters and images. We're going to have all sorts of ideas and inspiration. I put everything into one folder, and I always start with a file, a notepad file here, and I call it a swipe file. So this will be my herb swipe file. So I'm just going to pick out why grow herbs. That's quite an interesting one too. Is I'm going to pick out a few bits and pieces from here. Some of this we'll use for our content, some of this we'll use for our marketing later on down in the process, but we want everything in one place. Now let's go back and have a look. There was a second book, so Herb Gardening for Dummies. So that's quite a general book. Let's have a look at the other one that came up, Herbal Remedies. Another thing that's quite useful, I wouldn't directly use this copy or any copy from anybody else's site because that would be plagiarism, but this is quite useful copy that we can use to repurpose and as a starting point, perhaps for an article or a blog post or for the contents of our website. So let's just save this as a swipe file, and I'm going to save that into my library. I'm going to start a herbs folder. Alright, so that's saved now just in case. And again, let's have a look at the table of contents. Choosing the best herbal products, aromatherapy, herbs for everybody. I like that one too. I like the sound of that. Let's stick that into our. So we've got herbs for healing. That sounds good to me, and herbs for everyone. That's very inclusive. I like the idea of that. Growing and brewing your own herbs. Making herbal products at home. That could be a very good little website, couldn't it? And as you can see, I won't spend all the time doing this, but I will spend quite a bit of time. Here we are, 10 reasons to use herbs every day. Now that would be a fantastic free giveaway on a herbal website. That would be a fantastic product, wouldn't it? To give away, perhaps in exchange for somebody opting into your mailing list. Top 10 power herbs, that would be another one that would, if you were interested in herbs, top 10 power herbs would be very useful information. And the herb guide. So we could take that and sub-niche it down. So the herb guide, it could be the herb guide for natural skincare, or the herb guide for acne, or that's very, very specific. And we'll have to do our research to see if there's a big enough market for that. But this will give us some ideas. So for natural skincare, or fighting particular skin conditions. So all of these are things that we'll have a look at when we go into the next video, which is when we get into the sort of nitty-gritty of the research. So I'm quite happy about that so far. So there's 2 dummies books on herbs, so to me that's a tick in the box. Now let's go to next to Amazon. I'm going to look at the Amazon.com, and let's just type in herbs. Oh my gosh, there's 138,000 results for herbs. So as you can imagine, there's going to be absolutely tons of things in here. This is everything. So let's have a quick scroll through. We've got a book here, paperback, Cultivating Herbs. We've got packets of seeds. And again, these are all ideas that we can put into our swipe file, because once we've got our niche website, we might be selling an ebook, or we might be doing affiliate marketing, we might be selling our own product on using herbs. But we might also, another way to make money would be to be an affiliate or to sell products. So perhaps we would further down the line have a look at perhaps selling some packets of herbal seeds or growing kits or something like that. Here we've got an encyclopedia. Gosh, so what this says to me, 138,000 results, that says to me another big tick in the box for herbs. There's definitely a market here. And what's really good about Amazon is these are products that are actually selling. So let's have a look at, in fact, no, I'm not going to look at just books. What we can do actually is to, excuse me, let's go and have a look at books. And if you see along the top here, we can actually sort by bestsellers. So let's sort by best-selling herb books. Whoops, we've lost the herbs. And again, another way to have a look and find a good niche is to have a look here. We've got herbs for health and healing. Now that would be a great title for our website, or an area to look at, herbs for health and healing. No. Medicinal herbs. Gosh, there's tons of books in here, and they're quite well priced, aren't they? $42, $9. They're not cheap 1 cent publications, which, you know, there's no point us putting a lot of work into a product and then it only sells for 2 cents. Rosemary Gladster's herbal recipes. I mean, this is a huge market, isn't it? And if you remember, within the online market, you want to be in a busy market with a lot of competition, where there's a lot of traffic and a lot of people buying products. Because compare it, say, to cookery. If you like cooking, do you just have one? Do you just buy one cookery book? No, probably like me and like most other people. If you like cooking, you'll have your Delia Smith and your Jamie Oliver and your Rick Stein, and you'll have your River Cafe, and you'll probably have a whole range of cookbooks. You probably get one every Christmas. And it'd be the same with whatever topic people are interested in. So if you're growing your own herbs and you're interested in herbs, don't think, oh gosh, look, there's thousands of herb books. There won't be. People will buy more than one book. And then look at this one, the Woman's Handbook of Healing Herbs. I love that. And that only came out last year. So that goes very much with my sort of women's theme. Although this is going to be a completely separate website, I do like the idea. That's a niche, isn't it? The Woman's Handbook of Healing Herbs. So that's an idea of how we can niche down. So I'll put that into my swipe file. And see, I'm just building up a list of keywords that we're going to research. Women's Guide, Women's Handbook of Healing. We haven't even started looking at websites and blogs yet. And so on. And as you can see, look, there's 100 pages of products. But what I'm looking for at the moment is, I want to validate the fact that this is a market. And so far we've said, yes, there's a market looking at dummies and there's a market looking at Amazon. So there's definitely a market for herbs. We'll have a look at eBay in a moment as well. So there's definitely another tick in the box. We've now got 2 ticks in our box in terms of looking at her anti-aging herbs. Now that is a fantastic niche, isn't it? Anti-aging herbs. I like that. I like that a lot. So all we're doing, we're not discounting, we're not doing any filtering at the moment. All we're doing here, I like this one too, natural remedies, foods, herbs and spices. All we're doing is getting ideas. So, you know, this part of the process can really probably take most of the time. You don't want to spend weeks and weeks and weeks. You know, allow yourself a little bit of time to do this. But I mean, I've got some really good ideas for niches now, and when we get to the next video, when we start doing our in-depth nitty-gritty research, we'll find out how big a market there is for some of these very sort of small niches. Now, see, something like this, the Complete Herbal Guide, a Natural Approach to Healing the Body, that's not going to make a good website because that's too broad. We need to drill down and drill down. But here's another good one. This seems to be, Rosemary Gladstone seems to be the woman, doesn't she, for this? Herbal Healing for Women. So, you know, that's the second book we've seen specifically focused on herbal healing for women. That's quite interesting, isn't it? That tells me that there's a market. And we're only on page 2 of 100 pages. Make your own herbal remedies. I love that too. That's really good. So we could have a website. What I'm thinking at the moment is we could have a website, a review type of website where we're reviewing some of the herbal sites and products, and that would be really useful. And that probably is something that we can go quite viral on Facebook. Or we could do an authority site, or we could just do a niche site where we're just selling a couple of key products. So I'm keeping all of that in the back of my mind as I'm having a look. Backyard medicine, I like that too. And you get the picture. Yoga of herbs, that's an interesting one, isn't it? So this is all about natural. Oh gosh, look at this. Oh, I love this one here. This is fantastic. Herbs for pets. I mean, that's two of my passions, my dog, and I'm very interested in herbs. So how about that? Herbs for pets. That I'm very excited about. And that's complete. So far we've gone from herbs being a big market to I've got ideas about doing a review site. I've got ideas about doing herbs for women specifically, and now look at this, herbs for pets. And this isn't a particularly new book. This has been out for a while. Let's have a look at this. And again, I want to have a look at the table of contents. Let's see. Got some quite good reviews, and here we are. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy this as well. I'm going to put this into my swipe file, and that's a whole separate little niche that we're going to have a look at. And we'll, you know, maybe there's not enough big enough market. Maybe this is going to be a fantastic money spinner. We'll see. And look at all these. Gosh, customers bought this, also bought. And look at these. Nature of Animal Healing, Dr. Kidd's Guide to Herbal Dog Care. I think that says to me that there is a good market for herbal remedies for pets, or specifically for dogs. And the dog market, as you probably know, is absolutely huge, absolutely massive. So let's go next to eBay. And I've gone into co.uk. It really doesn't matter. We'll just say we're just getting an idea. We're just getting ideas. We're having a look round. And oh my gosh, we've got 48,000 results for herbs, but this is within eBay. So if you're interested in actually selling products, maybe taking orders and drop shipping products, I mean, this is lovely. Look at this, kitchen garden. There's all sorts of things. So in terms of making money from our website, we can just sell information products, which is really what I prefer because it's much cleaner and easier, and it's an instant purchase. You haven't got to worry about shipping and stock and all of those things. But if you want to build a site where you're actually shipping products as well, then you know, there's obviously a lot here, you know, and keep that in mind, because when you're starting off having a look at your first web business or a new web business, don't limit yourself. Have a look, and gosh, there's all sorts of things. You can buy the muslin bags, the special kits and bulbs and all sorts of amazing things, real cinnamon sticks. So yeah, I mean, tick, tick, tick. Huge market for herbs. Now the last place I'm going to look to see what sort of products there might be on the information side is ClickBank. I have no idea what I'm going to find and whether herbs will feature or not, but let's have a look. So I've gone into clickbank.com and I've clicked on Marketplace, and let's have a look and see. No results. Gosh, that's surprising. Although I wouldn't particularly expect to find much, but let's just have a quick look. I'm surprised there's nothing in here. Let's have a look and see. Green products, home and garden. No, so for this particular cooking food and wine, no, this particular, for the herbs, there's nothing in ClickBank that I can easily see anyway. That's quite interesting, isn't it? So but anyway, I've got enough ticks in the box from the dummies, Amazon and eBay that I'm very, very excited about the herbal niche. I've got lots of ideas in my swipe file here, and that leads us really to, that's as far as we're going to go with this particular video. I'll have a look at some other marketplaces within some other topics in the other videos, but for now we're going to leave it at that. And in the next video in our training series, we're going to go through our ideas for niches, and we're going to see what the market is and how profitable those niches might be, and from that I'm going to pick one to build a web business around. Okay, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.